Meeting to order and ask for roll call.
I mean, it's hard listening to.
Here.
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 Here. Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
Join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have minutes from the regular meeting on July 10 and special meeting on July 26.
I move for approval of the regular meeting minutes from July 10th and the special meeting minutes from July 26th as written.
Second.
Motion and a second then to approve the minutes for regular meeting July 10, special meeting July 26. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign. All right, thank you for those that are in attendance this evening and those of you that are watching at home. Appreciate your attendance. We do not have anybody signed up for public comment, so we'll move on to the agenda. Ask for a motion if there's no corrections.
I move for approval of the agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have adoption of the agenda in a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign. All right, moving right on. 8.1, wellness update.
So every 3 years, we get to come to you and talk to you about our wellness program here at Beaver Dam Unified School District. We are very fortunate to have a robust committee, although sometimes our schedules don't always align, so we have a lot of the same people showing up. So if you know of anybody else who might be interested or have a wellness background or interest, please send them our way. We will be looking for new members this fall. Here's a list of our current wellness committee members. All have been very instrumental in some of the things that we have tried to do. We have a couple of board members who sit on the wellness committee as well, and we're fortunate enough to be able to connect with our staff at that level and talk about what our staff and our students might need from a wellness initiative standpoint. So it's really important we've got some of our health and phy-ed teachers in this group, as well as Taher, our food service provider, so that they can talk to us and inform us as to what our schools are doing for students. So you'll see a lot of the things that I come to you with is very staff heavy, but there is a lot of things that are going on at the individual schools that the principals are working with their staff on. They're working with their students on. Their PTOs are working on those things as well. So there's a lot of different initiatives from both avenues. So this is kind of comical because anytime you try to push anything wellness-wise on anyone, you will know it's not easy. So you have to really want something in order to go forward with it. So you will see in our stats coming up that we get a lot of repeat business, a lot of people who want to continue to do the wellness things. So if we get new people in there, new blood, we keep trying different things. We keep trying different initiatives, different gift card drawings to get some new people. So that has helped. We have grown the wellness program and the participation in the wellness program quite significantly in the last 3 years. So I think prior to COVID, you had your same people kind of participating all the time, and I think we've made some really good changes that have publicized the wellness program a little bit more and gotten some more people involved. So there's always good giveaways that support our local community too. So these are the goals that we had from a wellness initiative for the last 3 years. Making the program more inclusive to everyone, wellness workshops, coordinating with Quartz and Blue Zone staff, which Blue Zones is no longer a program in our community. But Quartz still very much a part of our wellness initiative. We've had different financial wellness things going on through WEA and WRS. Financial consultants throughout the year. We've worked with American Heart Association on a number of different things. Our administrators participate in donation through American Heart Association each year, as well as a lot of our staff do as well, and that's an automatic draw for them. Then they get to wear the t-shirts for the Heart Healthy Month in February, and there's lots of really neat things and partnerships that we've been doing with AHA. So there's stress reduction and mindfulness. Those are high indicators on all of our staff surveys when we ask our staff what they're looking for. So you'll see that come up again as a goal moving forward for the next 3 years. The goal then too, the last 3 years, was to continue to expand the staff incentive programs, which we've done. We have expanded them to be 3 to 4 times a year, and then also communicate that out on social media with multiple different communications. I think previously we did a lot more social media. They had a private social media group, which we're not really doing that anymore. Instead, we're just pushing it out through our email channels throughout the school district. And then continue to expand staff fitness programs. That one is something that we've kind of run into a couple hurdles, because once we get somebody lined up who's going to do it, then they run into a hurdle with their insurance, and then maybe things don't come to fruition. So we're still looking for that. So you'll see that as a goal moving forward for the next 3 years as well. So this information here is the readiness to change. It indicates how ready people are to make changes in their life. So this is some of the survey stuff that we get from Quartz. This shows kind of some trends in different areas that hasn't changed for us. So you'll see that information up there. As a staff, we're not really dealing with anybody who, I shouldn't say anybody, but there's not a trend for trying to quit smoking, but there's definitely trends for different lifestyle factors, including stress, incorporating more physical activity, and managing weight and healthy foods. So you'll see all of these kind of come to fruition throughout the entire program and have for the past 3 years, and I anticipate it will continue for the next 3 as well. When we do our biometric health screen and our health risk assessment for our staff, these are also the indicators that continue to come up. Wellness goals moving forward, you'll see a lot of these are the same as they were the last 3 years, because our staff, take the good and the bad, some of those things have not changed. So people want to continue to work on stress reduction, weight reduction, and eating healthy. So you'll see some of those in here. We want to continue to make the program more inclusive. Right now it's very female heavy, so we'd like to get some more male staff attending some of our sessions. We have wellness workshops. For in-service coming up here in a couple of weeks, we are expanding that platform since everybody will be kind of a captive audience for our back-to-school breakfast and welcome back. We're going to have a bunch of tables and calling it an info session where there will be different wellness activities as well. So there'll be opportunities for activities and athletics to talk to our staff. There will be people from EdVest, WEA, WRS, the Wright program, Edgewood College, all here to talk to our staff about different opportunities. We will continue to push out some of our workplace wellness things from the Council of America, and stress reduction and mindfulness were high indicators, as I just showed you on those staff surveys. So we're going to keep working on staff fitness programs and see if there's any way that we can work with our current staff who might have some expertise in certain areas to bring that to our staff who are looking for something more on site. This is really kind of small for you to see, so I apologize if you're watching from home, but at a glance, you can kind of see some comparables from 2022 to 2021. So we don't have that information yet for 2023. We will have that next spring, and it'll show you kind of some similarities and some differences as how we are trending. But you'll see the preventative care has been pretty good. Weight and physical activity is an area that our staff would like to work more on. Nutrition, stress and coping, and then tobacco doesn't seem to be a huge issue in our district, and then chronic conditions. So this shows for repeat participants, there's 208 repeat participants, and that just shows we are getting the same people over and over, but 208 is a pretty good digit for us to be working with here. And then there's some data in there for you to explore. So over the year, what we've done is we've done a fall photo challenge, which shows kind of what people are doing out in the community, what they're doing to welcome that stress-free environment into their life. If they're taking a walk with their dog, they're supposed to take a picture of something beautiful in nature that they've seen. Healthier Holiday Challenge, that was a recipe exchange. We've done wellness bingo, self-compassion presentation in March. That was also taped so that it could be sent out as a link for our staff who were not able to attend in person. We did a WEA financial presentation in April, which is usually very well attended. And then Abby Lindy is a health coach in our community. She did a Tiny Habits Challenge. We had an art night for our staff here at the ESC, which was, I think it had probably about 30 people here, so that was really good to see, and they had a blast. And then one of our teachers, Jen Mersch, is also working on getting her health coaching license, so she is offering one-on-one coaching opportunities to our staff as well. So I don't have the data on how many people took her up on that quite yet, but we should have that for our fall meeting. So 2 little details before we wrap up here is our wellness policy is 8510. We last updated that this past March, so we're good for another 3 years. So if there's ever anything in there that you think we should be incorporating, especially for students, because our policy seems to be very heavy in students, and then we kind of do our own thing for staff. But if you have any ideas, especially principals or people working at the building level, we'd love to hear what those are. So that's it for your wellness update. Do you have any questions or comments?
It was such a good update, there are no questions, I guess.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you to the board members who are part of that committee. We do meet quarterly, so we usually hammer things out for the whole year in the fall. And Stacy Drews and Amy Ewert are part of the HR team here, and they are amazing and instrumental at kind of running the show on a lot of these pieces. So
Yeah, it's been a good committee to be on. We've enjoyed it.
thank you. Everybody brings a different, a different background, a different aspect to what we need to offer. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brings us to 8.2, Wisconsin Act 20.
All right, so the board members have a copy of a brief in their packet. I just want to touch on this briefly, make sure we're all kind of grounded in the same general background information, and then I want to provide a little bit of a caveat to this. On September 25th will be the next meeting of Teaching and Learning. It's our hope that Rob and Tiffany will be able to, our Director of Teaching and Learning and Director of Student Services will be able to bring forward kind of a status update, detailed status update that'll kind of be driven by the guiding document or link document that you have in the memo that's provided, which kind of shares out the requirements of Act 20, the bill, the current status, and then next steps. So just as a real quick brief and to make sure that our public is informed, Wisconsin Act 20 was passed this year. That was a bipartisan bill that really focuses on enhancing outcomes for literacy in the state of Wisconsin. And it's really grounded in the idea of science-based reading instruction being some of the most maybe powerful and impactful strategies that we can use to make sure that all students, by the time they leave third grade, are indeed on track to be literate. So in our district, we're taking a little bit of an expanded approach to the requirements associated with that bill. So that bill requires certain professional development and training for all staff, including principals that are working with students grades kindergarten through third grade. As a district, and in the spirit of the collaborative nature in which we operate, we're going to extend that kind of call to expertise to be K-5, so that all of our elementary staff have common training and common experiences and then can engage in common learning around that. We're in a very fortunate situation in that we've taken a number of steps over the past 3 to 5 years as it relates to tiered interventions and supports for students. So between our kind of PLC mindset and professional collaboration and learning, as well as response to intervention, we are kind of well-grounded and ready to kind of receive this and use this as kind of a level up opportunity for our district and our teachers. So our teachers will be going through training over the course of the next 12 plus months. we're going to be ahead of the deadline, and the work that we're going to do is going to be more robust. And we're also going to compensate our teachers for the time that they're using to invest in this. That is not necessarily a requirement by any means of the bill, but we have other demands that we expect from our teachers professionally, and this is above and beyond the current demands, and we want to honor their time and their expertise as they take part in this training. So we're actually, we're looking forward to it. It's not one of those one more things. It's an exciting opportunity to kind of ground us all in some common language, common efforts. Our principals, central office staff will also be participating in this, those that work with students in that grade level. So it's kind of a nice opportunity to bring folks together. But want to make sure the board and the public know that we are on top of this and ahead of it. And our timelines and expectations are more rigorous and are going to provide our students in the Beaver Dam Unified School District with more opportunities to be served well through the implementation of Act 20. That's all I have. Any questions?
Mark, this is an online course that the teachers will be doing, correct?
Yep, so essentially there's online interactive components with that, and then there's also kind of transfer, collaborative kind of extended opportunities, and then practice opportunities associated with that. So it's not strictly about sitting in front of a computer, it's about transferring that knowledge, engaging your colleagues, having conversations, and then putting things into practice as well.
So is there a test that the teachers take at the completion of this, or this course, or not?
Yeah, my understanding is, so there's, just to kind of go back, so there's a variety of different pathways that teachers throughout the state of Wisconsin can take. So Rob's been in direct communication with DPI about the particular Keys to Beginning Literacy efforts that we're making. And DPI has put in writing that, yep, this is outstanding, this is great, kind of roll with that one. That's definitely a vetted quality program. So there's Check for Learning and other components as part of that course. I can't speak directly to what that Check for Learning looks like, but there's kind of a vetting effort throughout the whole course.
Okay. So, you're focusing on how this applies to our district. Does this apply to any school that takes money for students? So does this apply for school choice schools as well, or does this only apply to the public schools?
So I can't speak to the intimate application details associated with that. I would say that public for sure, charter for sure, because charters are really an extension of public entities. I don't know off the top of my head if there's a requirement associated with parochial. If there is, it might have to do with, it could have to do with the percent of students that are public, just as maybe testing requirements sometimes, whether or not they, show the whole picture might have to do with that whole percent. So I can't speak to that off the top of my head, but we can make sure that at that update on September 25th, we have that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was just curious, as they make rules that apply to us that make, that we're changing and we're educating, I wondered if that applied across the board.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, do you, how soon is this training available to our staff? Is it online right now, or?
Yeah, so actually what just rolled out, and I'll take other feedback from some other experts in the room. Let me phone a friend. No, but some messaging already went out to staff to kind of, we'll say, prime the pump on this and provide staff with an opportunity to ask questions, get support or otherwise. So there was a memo similar, a little bit different message than what was directed to the board that went out to staff. It also had a very wonderfully put together video from Rob. If you haven't gotten a video from Rob, then you haven't really seen a video. But Rob put together a nice little video to kind of tee things up for staff. So they have opportunities to start that engagement right now and kind of dive in. But I'll defer to anybody else who has some additional context. So Tiffany or...
I think that within the next 1 to 2 weeks, all teachers will be emailed.
Okay. Yeah.
Excellent.
So the prime's been pumped, kind of laid out, some of the high-level details, making sure people understand hours, expectations, as well as the compensation piece of it, kind of the grounding promise of it, and then it sounds like in the next several days they'll get a link that'll provide them with that opportunity.
Perfect. And then it looks like they have about a year to complete it?
Yes.
It can be done at their own pace?
Yep, there's some self-pacing opportunities, and then we're also going to try to We have other targets and things that we're trying to hit during some of our in-service time as well, but as maybe an extension or some of that flex time in there to allow for some collaboration or shared learning as an extension beyond maybe just the straight up screen time, for them to be able to use some in-service time as well to do that networking.
Cool. Last question I have is, as far as the compensation is concerned, do they have to, do we have that laid out? Is the staff, are they required to submit documentation on this, or does the district just get a notification that, hey, your staff member here has completed this and compensation is and then?
Yeah, so essentially the company identifies what would be the targeted expected time that it would take a professional to complete the course. So we've basically identified this stipend and this dollar amount to match what that industry standard is, and that's what we're using. And then once they're completed, then we'll remit payment for that. And Ryan's got it locked up in the budget. At least we told him to, so we should be good. And that's something that I think we'll see other districts do that, but that's not necessarily a directive of the act. But it's learning. It's not like we're taking other priorities off the table. This is a value add, and we're going to compensate people for it.
Good. Happy to hear that. Thank you.
You bet.
Anything else? All right, thank you for that update, Mark.
Thank you.
That brings us, speaking of, Mr. Cashman's got a resolution for us to talk about tonight.
Thank you. All right, so we need to approve the cash flow borrowing for the 23-24 school year tonight. So school districts and cash flow, due to the timing of the revenues and expenditures, many districts use short-term borrowing to meet their cash flow needs, and this is authorized by state statute. There are many different types of short-term debt that districts can use. We currently use a local line of credit, so we'll talk about that more in a slide down the road here. So we sent out letters to 3 different local banks, and we received 2 back, and that's kind of what is gonna, that's how we do our cash flow borrowing here. The past couple of years, we've had a $5 million line of credit for 18-19 through 2021, and in 21-22, we had a $4 million line of credit. You can see the utilization of that line of credit for the past couple of years. Last year, we had another $5 million line of credit, but we did not utilize it at all. For 23-24, we are planning on having another $5 million line of credit. This is basically an insurance policy that provides us with flexibility to ensure that we can meet our obligations for those months that we have more expenses than revenues. We sent that letter to the 3 local banks seeking proposals, and we received 2 responses, one from Horicon Bank and one from National Exchange Bank and Trust. Last year's line of credit was with National Exchange Bank and Trust, and the interest rate was 3.75% fixed with no origination or application fees. This year, the 2 proposals, the first one from Horicon Bank was 7.85 fixed without our core deposits, or 7% fixed if we brought over our core deposits. The National Exchange proposals was 6.95% fixed, or a secured overnight financing rate plus 1.5% not to exceed 7.95%. Currently, the secured overnight financing rate is 5.1% for August. Based on what I have read and what the Fed is doing, we could see that go up to 5.6% by the end of 2023. If it does go up to 5.6% by the end of 2023, and you add a 1.5% on top of it, then we would actually be higher than the fixed rate of 6.95%, which is why the recommendation is going to come as is. So we appreciate both banks' interest in partnering with us. I had good conversations with both of these local banks, and both were very competitive offers. However, seeing as National Exchange Bank has the lower fixed rate option, the recommendation is to go with them. It's also our primary bank, which makes utilizing this line of credit much easier. So this would require the Board of Approval of resolution. It requires board approval of resolution authorizing a taxable tax and revenue anticipation promissory note for cash flow purposes in an amount not to exceed $5,000 or $5 million. Next steps, we're going to carefully monitor the cash flow throughout the year. Right now, projections are showing our our worst cash flow months at the beginning of December, the whole month of February, and June 1st through 15th. So those are the months that I'm going to be watching closely over this next year, where there could potentially be a draw. I would not be surprised if we could make it through the year without a draw, though, depending on how everything falls with expenditures. We're also going to make timely grant claims to try to limit the interest costs as much as possible. And we'll revisit our cash flow needs again next year to determine the best course of action going forward and if this is going to be necessary in 24, 25.
Yeah, it's nice, nice to see that over the course of the years, the district has been in a financial situation where we haven't had to use it. So that's nice, obviously, but it's always nice to have it just in case, especially since it doesn't cost us anything the way we set it up. Especially in those earlier years, having to use it, and now last year not having to use it, and hopefully not having to use it this year shows that strength, so.
So remember a conversation prior to last year that, we were really trying to move into a system where we didn't need to use it. And that was something, is that something that was kind of set up and you're able to take over? I know you talked about carefully monitoring it, but is the intent not to need it and it's just there as a safety net? Or is there a pretty good chance that you might need to hit into it at least once or twice?
I think Anne Marie did an excellent job of prepping the district for 23, 24 and not using a line of credit. And I think part of with this transition and me coming on, it's more of an insurance policy for the district and me and not being as well versed in that budget as she was being here. So it's a very inexpensive insurance policy that is going to ensure that we can make payroll every month. But I do foresee 24, 25, there's a high probability of not having to utilize a line of credit at all.
I think people appreciate it when we make payroll on time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's the thinnest margin. I don't want to call it margin of error, but it's really, in my opinion, and I think Ryan would concur, it's not worth the risk at this time to not have it as an insurance policy because it costs us nothing to not use it.
No, it's great.
But if we need to use it, we can, and, not being able to make payroll for a school district, particularly in December, not a good idea, so.
I would make a motion that we authorize cash flow borrowing not to exceed $5 million from National Exchange Bank.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, then ask for vote, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us down to reports by the board. Let's see, there were no committee meetings last month. There are no committee meetings this month. So there are no reports by operations and teaching and learning. We have a workshop scheduled for next Monday, the 21st, so please make sure you have that on your calendar. And then just a note, September's a little bit different from a timing standpoint, so instead of the second Monday for our board meeting, it'll be the third Monday. And then we will be back on committees on the fourth Monday of September. So please just double check your calendars and make sure they're up to date. And with that, we'll move on to board engagement. So an opportunity for any of the board members to share out any engagement opportunities. I know school's starting to ramp up, our opportunities will be increasing, but does anybody have anything they'd like to share with the board?
Just, I went to the new teacher breakfast and the welcome that we had at Jefferson School, and it's one of my favorite things. I was telling you, it's one of my favorite things to attend because you really get a chance to meet everybody that's either excited to start a new job or new to our district. So It was great to not only see them, but to see all of the staff that have offered to mentor and support our incoming staff. So really appreciated everybody there and the chance to talk to all the people that I got to meet or reconnect with at that breakfast.
Anybody else?
I actually had been invited and participated in a panel discussion that was held at the Chamber of Commerce regarding school vouchers. And there were a couple other members here who were also present, as well as members from Dodgeland, Waupun, Mayville, Horica? No. And it was getting the word out to people that how the voucher schools, the school choice program affects the bottom line for the public schools, and how we have to give money to any of our students who are attending any of those choice schools if in fact they qualify for that. So it was kind of important just to get the word out again. And it was an interesting evening and well received for the people who were there at the meeting, so.
Did you have a big turnout for that march? Was there a big turnout there?
I'm sorry, what?
Was there a big turnout?
Mid-high 20s? Mid-20s?
Mid-20s, yeah.
All right, thank you, Marge. Anybody else? All right, we'll move, whoop.
Moria.
Oh, you want me to move on?
Can I go? Sure. All right, I've got a couple. First, we had a few PALS donations, so Partners Are Learning, a program that supports students after school. We had $100 from the Robert Keller Real Estate, $1,000 from Peter Seipel Foundation, and $500 from Nelson and Vera Hicks Foundation. So thank you very much for those generous donations that help support the PALS program. This week starts the Dodge County Fair. We've got a lot of students and staff that have, and families that have been really involved in helping gear up for that. So just want to recognize the students that are part of 4-H and FFA that are part of the fair. And they've got a lot going on. It's going to be a very, very busy week for them. And then just another thanks as we kind of close out the summer to all the staff that helped make summer school a success. And then thank you to the staff that are working through registration literally right now and tomorrow for the in-person components of that. So much of it's online, but there are still some in-person components. So thanks to all the staff that helped make registration go.
All right. Any other recognitions? Anybody?
I just wanted to recognize the boys soccer team who volunteered at the mobile food pantry. Second Harvest Mobile Food Pantry is the second Saturday of every month. And this month we had the boys JV team there volunteering. Next month, I understand it'll be the varsity. So it's a great opportunity for them to volunteer in the community and just see the extent of the community need that's out there as well.
Mm-hmm. And I really just have a recognition for the community. I have seen a number of events going on to collecting backpacks and providing all those school supplies. So for all those community organizations that are working hard at collecting things for our students to help make sure that everybody starts the year out with the things that they need to be successful, big thank you to the community for that.
All right.
And I had one more, just the, we were talking about the amount of things that go on at the Beaver Dam Area Community Theater, and I know there were several productions this summer, and they just have been fantastic. I was at the middle school one, Goosebumps, and that was great. So just a recognition for all the staff and the families and the students that are involved in those productions.
All right. Thank you. With that, we will move on to 10.
I move the board recess into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, paren 1, paren C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which a governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, specifically to discuss specific employees.
Second.
All right, motion and a second then. As for roll call?
Yes.
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 All right, we'll move into closed session.
We're back.
All right, we moved out of closed session, back into open session, and we will move on to 12.1.
There's a few resignations on the board agenda for your approval this evening, but before you vote on that, I'd like to point out the retirement of Susan Karen, effective February 18th, 2024, and thank her for her years of service.
I move the board approve the retirement and resignations as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second then to approve the resignations and retirements as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign. Okay.
There are 2 leaves of absence for your consideration this evening.
I move the board approve the leaves of absence as presented. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the leaves of absence as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign. All right.
For appointments, I ask you to consider approving Jamie Dugan for Dean of Students at our middle school, Kelly Ehlert, grade 5 at Lincoln Elementary School, Ashley Hacker, Science and Social Studies at the middle school, Jamie McMillan, Special Education Teacher at the high school, and Connor Sissel, Math Teacher at the middle school.
I move the board approve the appointments as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second then to approve the appointments as presented. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you.
All right, moves us on to other business, payment of claims.
I move for payment of claims in the amount of $6,799,532.39.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second then to approve payment of claims. Roll call vote.
Yes.
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 All right, look for a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
And a motion and a